Alright guys, well I'm back, and yes, I'm going to do another BIOS update, and this time the She-Hulk is going to get it, and I'm going to give it to her, and that just sounded kind of weird. So, yeah, don't go anywhere. All right, so what do we need? Well, we need a thumb drive, and I recommend a 16 gigabyte or smaller, and I also recommend that you format it into FAT32. There are reasons behind that, which I'm not going to get into, but you're welcome to try anything. If it works, great. It works for you. If it doesn't, go back and try 16 gigabytes or smaller and FAT32. So, yeah, I have a dedicated thumb drive. That's a 2.0 drive. It's slow, but it doesn't need to be fast for this because it just doesn't need it. So, the other thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go into your Windows and check out your current version of the BIOS. Now, you could shut down your PC or restart your PC and hit that delete key repeatedly. Basically, you're spamming the key. You might be able to get into the BIOS through another key. It depends on the manufacturer, but with Asus, it's usually the delete key that I hit repeatedly to get into the BIOS. Then you'd have to check your version. Then you'd have to launch Windows again and then go and grab your BIOS. There's an easier way and a quicker way, and I'm going to demonstrate how to get that right now. All right, so right now I'm in my She-Hulk build, and we are going to come right down here to the search bar, and you're going to type in run. Then you're going to hit enter. And then down there at the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see what's called MS Info 32. Type that in verbatim, hit enter or OK. Then this is going to pop up. Now, what you're going to look for is the BIOS version/date, and you can see I have 2305. Now, you're going to want to remember that. You can leave this window up if you really wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and close it. 2305. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to come to Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome or Firefox, whatever your browser is, and right in the search box, now you're going to type in your motherboard. So you're going to type in the manufacturer and what the actual model of your motherboard is. For instance, this is an Asus. I'm using the wrong motherboard or keyboard. So this is an Asus Z690 formula. So we are going to look at that. Our first one comes to rogue.asus.com, and basically it's the formula, it's the 690. So we want to click on that. That's going to bring us to the support page of this particular motherboard. Now you could go to asus.com and sort of find it through that way, but it's a lot longer. Just type in right what it says on your motherboard or on your box that your motherboard came in. It's perfect. Otherwise, it does say it on the motherboard itself. There's another way. I think actually, let's just check, but I think we can find it right through that. I can't remember. Let's see. We're just scrolling down here. I'm just seeing, yep, right here. So we have the base product. So if you copied that verbatim, you can probably find it that way too. You might just want to type Asus instead of Rogue, and you'll find it the same way. So with that said, now there's two support tabs. See, there's a support here, and then there's a support here. Now the one up on top is the generic support for the actual website, which we do not want. The one down here is support for the actual motherboard that we are currently looking at. Go ahead and click that. And the next thing that we're going to do is go to drivers and utilities. We're going to go to BIOS and firmware. And then let's show all. And you can see right here, 2305 is, let's see, 1, 2, 3 versions behind 2703. So we had 2403, 2602, and 2703. So our next BIOS version, now you do not have to go in order. You can grab the latest BIOS and download that and it'll be fine, unless otherwise stated. Now you should read every description. If you're a long way out and you have a lot of BIOSes in between, just read each description. It will let you know what's going on and if you should upgrade to that one before upgrading to the next, to the latest. So I know Gigabyte is pretty famous for that. Like sometimes you got to upgrade to a certain one before you can upgrade to the next. It's kind of weird. So, but Asus is usually pretty good. I haven't had to do that with Asus, but again, I usually keep my BIOSes up to date. So anyway, let's go ahead and read this next one. It says improve system performance, improve memory capability. Now, when it says before BIOS update, please download the ME, which stands for Management Engine, update from Asus support site, and update the Management Engine firmware to this version for optimize. That's the key word for optimize system settings. It's just going to optimize it. It's not a security thing. It just things will work a little bit better with each other. So if you're having issues, you can go ahead and figure out how to do that. I'm not going to even make a video on that. It's a little bit involved. So maybe way in the future, I may, if this becomes more important. But for right now, updating your BIOS is the most important, for me anyway. So the next one up from there, it says improve system stability and capability for next-gen processors. That is probably going to be for... No, that's a 12th gen. So that... I'm not sure if that's for... That must be for 14th gen, because 13th gen was already out. See that date? 7/5/2023. So that right there, I think that might be for 14th gen. So anyway, fix compatibility and instability issues when configuring RAID for high capacity storage. Then it says do update the Intel to this version. So maybe I'll update it. Maybe I won't. This one is recommended for a vital update and migrate or mitigate to potential security vulnerabilities, improve system stability. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab this latest one. You can see the download button right here. Okay, it's already downloaded. You can see in Microsoft it downloads in the upper right-hand corner right here. And we'll get rid of that. We are going to open up File Explorer. I probably have some other download stuff in here. Yes, we do. We're going to get rid of that stuff. So how do you format a card? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to open up File Explorer. You're going to plug in your thumb drive, open up File Explorer, and let's just let's go over to this PC. And then you're going to find your drive, which is, which one? I can't see it. Let me make this a little bit bigger for myself so I can see what I'm doing. All right, I got it. It's the F drive, BIOS update. I couldn't read it, it was too small. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a right click on it. You're going to come down here to where it says format. Now, this is going to delete everything off of your drive. So if you have anything on there, this is why I recommend getting a separate and dedicated drive just for BIOSes. Now, if you're only doing it once, maybe you don't need to do that. But when you format this, it's going to delete everything. So you can see it's only a 16 gigabyte drive, even though it says 14.4. This is in FAT32. This is what you want. If it's in NTFS, it may and may not work. So just keep that in mind. It may not work. If it doesn't, that's why I recommend always going into FAT32. So older systems can read FAT32, that's why. Now you want to have this checked. It says quick format. I just labeled mine BIOS update because that's what I dedicate this drive to. And just hit the start. And it's just going to tell you everything's going to get deleted. Give this just a moment. It should be pretty quick. The smaller it is, the faster it'll go. It's complete. And now, when we close this and we open this, it's empty. There's nothing in it. So it's ready to go and it's formatted in the correct format. Now, on here where we downloaded it, you can see it's a zip folder. Do a right click and go down or up to extract all. Put it right back in the downloads folder when you're extracting it. Just makes it easier. I'm going to go ahead and just get out of this page. And now you can see that this is our downloads. We're in our downloads folder right here, but we were in this folder. So the renamer tool, what it's for is if you are flashing it. So if you're going to upgrade to like 14th gen processor from the 690, then if you didn't have a CPU, then you could use the flash. I would stick it in the back of the motherboard. That's if your motherboard supports it, by the way. And you use the renamer tool. I'll demonstrate it right now. So you can see the name of this. It says Rogue Maximus Z690 formula. Once I open this and there's like one button you got to click, it'll rename this one right below it. So press any key to continue. Spacebar. Did it rename it? I don't know. Yep, it renamed it. So now you can exit out of that. See how it went from that long name to now just this? That's all it did. That's all it did. So, but we want this file. This is the only file we need. That was just the renamer tool. This is 32 kilobytes. So that's what we need. Now this up here, this folder, was our thumb drive, right? So all we're going to do is either copy and paste, or we can just drag. Oop, we didn't want that. We just want to drag this one over here, copy it over to a thumb drive, and there we go. That's it. Now we can shut this down. Shut this down. Now I'm going to show you the easy way of getting into your BIOS. Now, traditionally, you would shut down the computer and restart it, or just hit the restart button and then spam that delete key or whatever key is necessary to get into your BIOS according to your motherboard. But in this case, we're just going to get the search bar and we're going to do recovery. So I learned that from my last one to actually, see, I always keep doing the wrong one. So we want to do recovery control. I don't know if it's recovery options. Recovery control panel. Nope, that's not what I want. Sorry. Let's just do recovery options. It might be in the settings. So that's what I wanted. Okay. Now right here it says advanced startup. So what this is going to do, it's going to reboot into a screen where we have a few different options to pick from, and that's how we're going to get into it. Now, it's more steps this way, but it's more user-friendly, because sometimes you can miss the key point to where you got to hit that delete key, and then it reboots into Windows, then you got to do it again. So I'm hoping the screen, I've had a problem with this computer going through OBS, and so you can continue to see it. So if the stream, if it goes completely black, which I expect it to for a few moments, but if it stays that way, I may have to shut down OBS and reopen it and then start the recording again and kind of merge those together. So just bear with me on this. So we're going to go ahead and hit restart. All right, so you can see that all the options we have here. We need to pick troubleshooter. Oops, I got the wrong mouse. Troubleshooter. Then we want advanced options. And now we want UEFI firmware settings. So now we're going to go ahead and restart this computer. What we're going to do, I want to show you and demonstrate right up here. See in the top left, it says version, BIOS version 2305. So that was our version right there. Now I do have XMP enabled. When you update your BIOS, you do lose your XMP or DOCP for your overclocks. Any of your overclocks or settings will go back to default because you're updating the BIOS. So we're going to go right to advanced settings. You're going to come up here to where it says tool. This is a very touchy mouse. And right at the top of your first option, it says Asus EZ Flash 3 utility. Go ahead and click on that. And then we can see that our first, well, it's our first option, but you see right down here it says storage devices. These are all the storage devices that are on the computer. And mine's that I did forget to show you how to format. So if you, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to introduce it into an earlier time for this. So yeah, I forgot to show you how to flash it. So my bad, although you're not even gonna know a difference until I say this, because I'm gonna do it and just add it in. Anyway, that is our drive right there where it says 14.778. That is 14 gigabytes. So essentially that's mine. So our first option right here, it says is our rename file.cap. So that is the BIOS that we want. This is just telling you about BitLocker, and you should have a backup for it or disable it if you need to. Now go ahead and, yes, we want to read this file. And do you really want to update the BIOS? Yep, I'm pretty sure we do. So as you can see right there, it's got a progress bar. I'm going to fast forward through this because this can take anywhere from a few minutes to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just depending on how big the update is. So just watch that. It's also a good idea to not touch anything. Don't even walk around your cords or anything that your computer is plugged into. In this case, the She-Hulk is actually plugged into a battery bank. So if the power does get lost, it will continue to update this BIOS, and hopefully I would get through it without a problem. So yeah, you want to just leave it alone. Don't exit. Don't accidentally hit the power button. Just stay away, go do something, come back. But if you want to have information, this does go through a couple reboots and it has a couple messages on the screen. I'm hoping that this is going to capture for you guys, and because my system is acting weird and just recording this. So anyway. All right, guys, so the system just got done. And as you can kind of see, I'm still sucking on a mint here. But you don't even have to touch anything for it to reboot on its own. That's kind of cool. Oh, there we go. Awesome. So the BIOS is updating. Do not shut down or reset the system to prevent system boot up failure. So this just exactly like it happened in my last video. So at least everything is working to the advantage of showing you. That way I don't have to get the camera out here and point at this or stop the recording anyway for that one. Now this system could reboot quite a few times. I mentioned in my last video for updating a BIOS that my maker build with the 10th generation Intel processor in it, my 10900K, one of my first couple updates of the BIOS, it rebooted like about 8 to 10 times. It was crazy. So we're just waiting for another signal here, and here we go. Okay, now the management engine is actually updating on its own right here. So the ME firmware is updating. So this is where it could take a long time, but I kind of wanted to show you how many times this thing reboots. We already had, what, 2? All right, it just shut down again and it's restarted, so that's like 3 or 4 reboots now. But it is still, oh, there we go. See, again, patience. Ah. All right, so now, whoa, okay, now we're doing, BIOS is updating the PD firmware. Cypress PD firmware. All right, I don't exactly know what that is, but it's got to update it. There we go, another shutdown. So we're right around 5 reboots already. This is starting to compare to what I was saying on my 10th gen. There we go, getting our signal back here. Now let's see what it's going to do. What I was waiting for is a screen with a bunch of information, and pretty much that indicates that it's done, for Asus anyway. There we go. That's what I was waiting for. So that's just telling you everything that's in there. I got 3 M.2s. I'm using the wrong mouse. Oh, there is, you can't use a mouse. So down at the bottom it says, please enter setup to recover BIOS settings. It's just a generic thing. It's not like you lost any. Well, the only thing you did lose if you had XMP enabled or DOCP, or if you had any overclocking of any sorts or other different settings, they're all going to go back to the way they were. So it says press F1. So if you have a keyboard that's directly connected, just go ahead and push F1. But in this case, sometimes, okay, I did. Sometimes you have to push FN or function and then F1. That happened on my last video. But in this case, I was just able to push F1. So if we go and we look, remember my XMP was on or enabled. So this mouse is so touchy. So if we go back to easy mode, you see all the way over here, it's disabled now. So that's something, if you want, you got to enable it again. I'm going to leave it off. I don't even need it on for this, but I'm just going to leave it off now. So that's it. So when you're done, you can select F10. And we didn't make any changes, so we're just going to exit. And that's it. This should go right back to the desktop. Oh, I didn't show you, but if you saw, if you rewind it right there, in the upper right-hand corner of the easy mode, you could have seen where it says the new BIOS version. So we should have had the new BIOS version right there. But I will go back into the desktop and actually show you it there also. Just waiting for it to train the memory or whatever the heck it's doing. It's still booting. So after a first boot from a BIOS update, just expect it to take a little longer. All right, so now that I've started recording again, we're going to come right down here. I'm doing it where it's kind of small, but we're just going to do run. Oh, see, wrong thing again. So run MS Info 32, and I'm looking for right here, right there, 2703. Our BIOS is now up to date. All right, guys, well, She-Hulk got her update, and I know because she told me on the side. So, yeah, consider subscribing if you have not subscribed, and hit that little bell icon next to the subscription button to get notified for any future videos that I do post. And hit that thumbs up button for me if you wouldn't mind, to show your support, and so I can continue to do more videos like this showing you step by step. And it takes a lot of effort to put all this together and to pay for all the equipment. And also feel free to share this video with your family and friends. Maybe they're trying to do a BIOS update themselves, or maybe you can show them how because you just learned. So anyway, until next time, guys, take care.